Welcome to Quick Shots, a short format traditional archery podcast, where we introduce you to some of the world's most influential traditional archers, and occasionally, some random dudes.
Don't want to hear about Colorado, about the Rockies and the Pines.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Quick Shots. I'm your host, Mick Chambers, and today we're talking to Tom Clum Sr. He is just an amazing archer, amazing person. I can't say enough great things about Tom. This was an honor to meet and interview him, and I want to thank him very much for being a guest. So without further ado, hit it! Hey everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Quick Shots. My name is Mick Chambers. I'm your host, and I'm here with Tom Clum Sr., Level 4 NTS coach, owner of RMS Gear, and also he's just a pillar in the traditional archery community now. And it's so great to meet you finally, Tom, and talk to you. How you doing?
Doing well, Mick. Thank you.
Good.
Doing
I'm
really
so
good.
glad to have you on the show. It's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty neat to see you too. We're just talking before we kicked off here. We're talking about our hunting season not going all that great so far.
Yeah.
Have you had any success at all, or?
I've killed a pig this year, man. I didn't get to turkey hunt because Nebraska closed it down. I don't really hunt in Colorado. Was supposed to go to New Zealand and Australia. COVID canned that. My buddy Tyler Friel invited me up to boat up the Kenai River to bear hunt. They closed it down a day past when they could go, and that got canned. I picked the worst week possible to go elk hunting. We had a blizzard blow in and winds going every direction, crunchy snow. And I picked what should have been an awesome week at whitetail hunting. We got record high temperatures. It was like 65 degrees as a low in Wisconsin. So my luck has not been good this year for hunting.
No, your weather. I'm not going to hunt anywhere near you for the weather. That's for sure.
Yes.
I was telling you, you're always welcome up here to Kansas. We got a room for you, and like I said, in Kansas, you follow.
Dude, don't say it if you don't mean it, man.
I mean it. I mean
All
it.
right.
You get on your horse and get down here.
All right.
I'll tell you right now, you fall out of a tree and you kill a deer here usually in Kansas. So there's lots of them.
That's cool,
man, it's great. It's great to meet you, and want to talk a little bit with you today. So sort of a lot of the theme of the Quick Shot stuff I'm trying to do is just interesting and really cool traditional archers and get some interesting people on here. But this one a little bit different. It's just your level of experience and just the things that you're doing are fantastic. I always tell my guys, anyone that comes to me looks for advice on how to shoot traditional archery or how to get better. First of all, thank you very much for doing that seminar in Kalamazoo and allowing them to film that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean,
thank you.
I go check that one out first. And then of course, then if you love that, go get his stuff on the pack. It's just amazing. I can relate a little bit to what you're teaching because my history, my background is well, it started off traditional, but then, I was out in Simi Valley, California, which is not all that far from Chula Vista. So my coaches were all NTS coaches. They were all best.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was really nice. It was really nice. And I know that you preach that stuff. So,
well, I kind of drank the Kool-Aid on it. I do think it's like brilliant once I understand it fully. And a lot of people portray it in a way that doesn't really represent it well. But once I really understand it, I can't pick a flaw in it. I think it's just brilliant. And so it's pretty fun for me to share that stuff because it's pretty fun for me to see people really shooting well. Very satisfying thing I do for a living.
So the great part about it though is that, I learned it. And of course I was doing Olympic recurve at the time and I stopped doing it because I wanted to get back into traditional and I hated Olympic recurve. I'm sorry for anyone that's listening to Olympic recurve. I kind of hated it. I wanted to get back in that traditional feeling. But now we have a coach in you who has taken that step from, Olympic recurve to trad.
Yeah. When I started this, I'm in the first course I was ever in. Yeah. I'm sitting in the course and they're showing this body alignment and this shot sequence. And I was kind of like, dang, I wasn't seeing the tie-ins to us guys. Right.
Yeah.
And I've told this story a bunch of times, but when we went out to do a practical part of the course, I kind of like, hey, Dave, this guy's name was Dave. I said, hey, Dave, said, what's a tie-in between target archery and us guys? I own a traditional archery shop. We're bow hunters. We shoot the bow in all kinds of funky positions. What's the tie-in between, kind of looking for the tie-in between target archery and what we do?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy looked at me, he says, well, you dummy, take it with you. And first of all, he called me a dummy. I knew the guy for 2-3 hours, right? And he said, take it with me. And I kind of didn't know what he meant. And he goes, take those positions, these positions we're building, with you. You can take that same position under a tree and lay that bow parallel to the ground and execute a back tension release the same way. You know, we're getting your body in alignment. We're executing a shot with linear tension through a follow through, producing the most accurate shot we can. And, you know, when he kind of showed that to me, and then I showed him those positions, and I was like, oh, baby, okay, I'm in. And I'm in with both feet now. Because why wouldn't we want to produce a shot to hunt with the biomechanics behind this beautiful way to execute a shot, this highly accurate way to shoot a shot, this highly repeatable way to shoot a shot? Why wouldn't us Joe bow hunters want to do that? We would. Why wouldn't we want to replicate the parts of that shot, which are virtually all of them, that make us more accurate, that these elite level guys do? So that started me on this thing, you know. So probably I have a legacy. It'll be a guy that brought really good target archery down to us guys. Because I'm just a regular guy, man. I like to hunt and shoot all year, right?
That's exactly what I was
like everybody else.
I was really getting at that. I was like, I literally would have loved to have you as my coach. Because I had a coach, you know, like I was saying, I'm in Simi Valley. It was all, and in fact, I'm a level 2
certified
instructor. Not anymore. Yeah. That was like 13 years ago, 14 years ago. Yeah. I haven't recertified, but you know, I learned all this Kiss of Glee stuff, and you know, I was really into Brady Ellison and stuff like that, watching him shoot, and God, Jesus, this guy's good, man. I can't, and he's still awesome. That dude is still ridiculous.
Which is a testament to the biomechanics behind that and the longevity, the health of your shoulders and stuff. Looking at that guy and this long career that he's got.
Yeah, perfect score just this year.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. And like no one thought. And then, you know, how soon? So barebow's the next horizon, right, for a perfect score.
Yeah.
And I don't see that there's any reason, if you're following sort of your system the way you're teaching it, that
honestly, yeah. If you get the right level archer and he's got a single pin sight with that arrow out there, and with these fixed crawls and these aiming methods, very precise aiming methods. Now we're going to get close to it, if nothing else. Yeah. You know, that was a challenge too, because you know, when you go through that certification, when you're practicing for it and practicing for the practical test, it's all under the chin anchors.
Yeah.
But then you have to figure out how to communicate just a higher anchor into the same system. That's all there is to it. A higher anchor out of the same system. And then, we've got to adjust for a string that we don't have a string blur anymore.
Yeah.
If you've got normal dimensions in your forearm, you're going to have that string outside of your eye. So we're going to have to tip the head and the bow over to create alignment, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some little nuances that you have to make an adjustment for from pure Olympic style to what we do. But it's all the same otherwise.
So I have a question for you on that. And it's not, don't take this the wrong way. How do we do that in a stand? So we're not doing the traditional, you know, open stance in a stand. Maybe, but then how do you keep your hips forward and then get that rotation perfectly?
There's literally no difference. Are you sitting when you shoot normally?
No, I don't.
You're standing.
I'm standing. Right. And yeah.
So, okay, this kind of goes to how I teach too. That open stance, if you go, and you know this, if you go to these high level coaches, like one of the first things they're going to make you do is use an open stance, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, at 70 meters, trust me, a stance, a platform to shoot from with that kind of accuracy is absolutely critical, right?
Yeah.
Like every nuance of everything you're doing at 70 meters counts. And trust me, when I'm practicing at 40 yards, like the end of my effective range pretty much, I'm using a stance on anything that approaches level ground. But I don't teach an open stance. I just teach you just the basic stance until we get later on, we start shooting more distance, and I need to stabilize a stance, or I need to use an open stance because the guy can't resist arching his back, right? An open stance, you can't arch your back out in open stance without a lot of discomfort, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
I know
there's
exactly what
certain
you're talking
times I'll put an open stance into the equation, and it is superior when you can use it. But we're bow hunters.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if we're on a hill or elk hunting, we got 1 foot above the other. What we're going to do is we're going to standardize everything from your belly button to the top of your head, and that structure we're going to take where we need to go.
Okay.
So I'm not concerned at a 15 to 30-yard shot of a tree stand if I can't develop an open stance it exactly perfectly. Hell, my feet might be stuck together, right? You're
Right.
kind of leaning against the chair. You got a little stability there.
Yeah.
No, we teach guys to eventually learn to shoot and duck that dang bow parallel to the ground under a dang fence and make a shot, right?
Exactly right.
So yeah, so the open stance in our situations, it has no place.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why I'm not like your typical NTS coach. And like you watch a guy with a Joad club, right? He's
Yeah,
making these poor kids learn an open stance. Let's start shooting a buck, before he gets to a lot of
that's right.
other stuff. And for us bow hunters, I just don't go there. Yeah, we have to have some kind of platform that's fairly balanced to shoot from, right?
Yeah.
We want to keep the feet shoulder width, when hips over the feet, when shoulders over the hips, when the head in the middle, we want to be fairly centered. Give me a little sternum tuck for a little more stability. Have your weight on the balls of your feet. Yeah, there's some stuff like that that any intuitive guy's going to do anyway, kind of, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you have to have a solid platform, right?
right. You have to have some platform. Look how solid your shot is off your knees. And
Yeah.
sometimes you twist in and your knees build that open stance. You kind of have to twist a little bit,
Mhm.
puts that tension in your core and how solid it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm overly geeky about what you're talking about right now. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm so into it.
yeah,
As like a lifelong martial artist too, we focus on the body, hips, energy, that sort of thing. Yeah,
right.
I'm so on board with this. So on
Yeah.
board.
So I'd say to a guy like you, yeah, use it wherever you can because it makes you better.
Yeah.
But don't sweat it, man. You're gonna build a good. You're gonna get some balance.
Well, Tom, this is the
You don't have
thing
to
though.
have that.
So I'm in my driveway and I'm actually in Calabasas, California, and I've got an 18 meters there, and I've got my Olympic rig, and I'm shooting
Yeah,
through a clicker, and
yeah,
I'm doing everything, trying to do everything I learned, and keep going at it. And then I got a coach, and I go to Simi Valley Range, and we do coaching days and stuff like that. But then I'm like, I'm not. I want to get back into hunting. I want to start doing that. I'm not going to take an Olympic rig into the bush with me
yeah,
into the
yeah,
woods, right? That'd be weird.
yeah.
And I saw some people doing it on a 3D course, and I thought it was weird. So I was like, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
never gonna do that. So I actually bought this bow, this Quinn archery bow from Texas. The Quinns they're not there anymore. But anyway, so I got that. I was like, okay, well, now I got to look for someone who shoots like a traditional bow and figure that out instead of just what you just said. Don't do that. Just take everything with you, man. So I've been
Yeah,
fighting it back
yeah,
and forth. I've been fighting it, honestly. So it's kind of cool to see what
yeah.
you're doing.
Just relax, man.
Yeah, just
But you can put so much good stuff. So you are analytical all the way. I can tell already.
yeah,
And you're one of those guys. I want 50% pressure of the finger in the middle and 40% 10.
yeah,
And I say this all the time. Is like NTS. What I teach, it's a guideline. It's a framework. All our bodies are different, so we do modify it a bit depending on the guy's body all the time. And now we're hunters. And so now we're presented with all kinds of different terrain and yeah, we got to modify it again, you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
and
But that
that's
back
fun.
tension. But what's the key? So okay, so what's the key? What's the one thing that if you're talking to a beginner, what are you going to have them do repetitively, no matter what situation they're in? What would be the like one or two things that would be must?
Okay, for beginner, I'm just going to teach them foundational concepts like skeletal alignment. I'm going to get them in alignment, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm going to start there. And then if I've got lots of time, they're ordering lessons now, we can build a better their best belt holding position out of that shot sequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of all those combination of movements, we get to build that position. But if it depends on how much time I got with the guy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, at a certain point, the mental management of that is ultimately maybe most important, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If a guy's got absolutely great mental management and replicates however he shoots that bow, he's going to get pretty good, right?
Yep. Yep.
I've seen it with some old guys in the shop, man. They'll come into the range, and these old guys are all slumped over. They're all hinged up.
Yeah.
And boom, they pluck out. But the next shot, they're all hinged up. They sit in there, boom, and the next shot. And every shot looks and those old boys just fill up the middle, right? Now, past 18 meters or 20 yards, forget about it. They're too hinged up to produce anything, that you
So
don't have form.
Yeah, I want to go back to that because you said your effective range is 40 yards.
I'd say when I'm well practiced. It's not right now for sure.
Okay, but when
really
you're
well
going
practiced,
elk
maybe
hunting,
on an elk, I can dump them in there under pressure at 40.
okay, cool. No, that's cool.
And you know how skills degrade. You got to shoot a lot.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, this is not, again, this is traditional archery. This isn't, you're not looking at pin through a peephole. You got to practice. Now we get a lot of flack, at least, the internet gives us a lot of flack, trad hunters, if we take a shot over 20 yards, right? So that's not real hunting, right? So that's like, if you want to hunt with a traditional bow, you bring the animal in close, then you can take a shot, and that's, but then there's been some backlash on that too. And I just want to get your thoughts on this too, because there's been some backlash because now people are talking, 30, 35, I was talking to, Dan Liss, Longbow Dan. I don't know if you know him from.
I think I met him once at ETAR a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and he's kind of championing this. We should be able to shoot over 30 yards, practice it, right? But then there's some people push back on us all the time, and I feel the same way. I practice at 30 a lot. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts is, for most guys, they don't get coaching. I mean, really, I shot poorly for decades because I was looking for that coaching. But let's face it, we didn't have great material. You had a lot of guys that learned to shoot well and they found out a system and then they wrote a book, right? And then there's other guys that did the same thing, wrote a book. And this guy is like this, and this guy's like this. And we're trying to sort through this information, and it's just impossible. Well, I guess a little bit of him, a little bit of him's okay. And we certainly didn't have any like Joel Turner stuff and know what the heck's going on. Yeah. We've completely lost control of the string with his hand. We don't know that the aim is actually cueing the release. So, because we were all taught to burn a hole and told completely commit our mind to aiming. And then pretty soon the aim is cueing this release. So we've completely lost control of this because all conscious mind can do one thing. Yeah. If you're consciously aiming, well, then the release of the arrow, the subconscious learns its job and does it for you. And then so we all shot like a mess. I was a mess for a couple of decades. I totally relate to everybody out there. Yeah. So for most guys, honestly, 20 is a push that's never had any instruction. Or if you're a guy like I was that didn't figure it out really that well. And so I figured out little systems, and from time to time I could shoot well. And, from a coaching perspective, I can actually see why what I did worked.
Okay.
Yeah. But then the season would get over and I'd just start shooting again. I'd learn forget my little system, and I'd shoot like hell again. And every August I'd slow down. I'd find some little process that got me shooting good enough. And then I got real sneaky because I had to be, because I didn't shoot that good. So I still took a lot of animals, with whatever system that I did for myself, like most of us. Yeah. Not that many guys were like you that had access to coaching. Yeah. And particularly, we never had coaches that taught mental management of a shot, or what the heck's going on when we can't even get the string to our face, let alone settle into an anchor. Right?
I want to caveat that. So I had good training, and then I totally lost everything because I went back to this traditional split finger, trying to figure things out. I completely have messed myself up. And now I'm coming back to your system again. I say your system because once you become like a level 4 coach in that, it's really, and then you've taken that NTS style and put it into trad. So I'm really kind of going on the system now.
And I would say not my system. It's like way smarter people than me figured this stuff out. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but okay. So
my skill is in teaching or communicating it.
Yeah.
I think it's an advantage to come from where I was, being a really poor shooter with all the problems I'm seeing from everybody else, because I completely relate. Some guys, I'm the archery coach. They get in front of me and they're nervous. I'm like, dude, if you saw me 20 years ago, you would not be nervous, right? Because I get where you're at. The only thought I ever had is, I never look at a guy and like, oh, what a mess. The only thought I ever is like, man, I wish I could share some of this stuff with that guy. That's the only thought I ever have when I see somebody that's really struggling. Yeah. And if somebody's having fun, that's all that counts. But it's not that fun for that long if you can't hit the target.
No, and we need to keep people in the sport as long as possible. I mean, we already have a problem. Kansas, we have a problem where we don't have enough hunters, because people aren't going into it, and we certainly don't have a lot of traditional hunters here. And, that's frustrating. I'm getting a little frustrated right now. You know, I've got one doe down, you know, I'm trying to fill all my tags, but you know, it gets frustrating. And then you know, the kill is never guaranteed, right? I mean, I think some people go into the stands with that problem, and I never do. I haven't since I started hunting a while ago. You know, it's like, okay, as a trad, like, you know, when you have a gun, you go
Yeah.
hunting, you know you're going to kill the animal, right? You
Yeah.
get
You're
really good
shooting with
confidence.
confidence.
You're shooting
Right.
with confidence, right? And I
Right.
think that stuff like, if I can, like one of my martial arts teachers told me, hey, he says, Mick, once you learn this new thing called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's going to be like having a loaded gun in your hand all the time. This was like, again, this is like 30 years ago. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh, dude. But that's kind of the same with this NTS system. It's like, you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have a loaded gun because you are going through your process and your system, and that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I think you're
With the mental management stuff that, Joel
Joel turned.
started teaching, the first guy to do it. And
Yeah.
when I teach, it's all integrated, and so much of my time with Joel has completed me as a coach. But when you know how to make a good shot, you can walk in. If I do my business, it's going to be good. And then it's just determination. I could get in that shot. I'm going to do this, this, and this. I know I know what to do to drive a great shot. I don't care what's going on around me. I know I'm determined. I'm going to do this, this. I'm going to add pressure to that string to the fall through. It's going to be good. That's such a different feeling than that shooting with hope. That shooting with confidence is a great place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to get out of the grip it and rip it phase and then get back into the confidence building. And I think that I think Joel's blazing the way there too. So between the two, you guys, I mean, it's phenomenal. And I think that, again, I think we can have a perfect score here and, you know, a trad archer. And a lot of guys don't like to compete. So maybe we won't see that. Maybe we'll see the best archers actually aren't the ones that are competing, but they're the ones taking down animals, you know, on a regular basis.
Look at Aaron Schneider and what he's doing.
Aaron Schneider, I don't.
He's a fellow that's he does a podcast called Cafaro Cast. He runs Cafaro Backpack Company.
I'm
You
kidding.
probably don't know that guy, right? You never heard of him, right?
He's one of your students, right? He's one of your students.
Yeah. Well, when he started, he came to me, but he was such a good compound shooter, and he had such a good mental game. It's pretty easy, honestly. That guy, I love to see him compete. Holy man, I think he'd own the world.
Yeah,
He's that good.
The hunching over so much. I mean, but I mean,
I got him more. He's getting more upright. He
is he
used to
okay?
hinge at the hips, right? And he was
I
way
shouldn't
over.
talk. I shouldn't talk. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
talking. He doesn't listen to this, so I don't care. But
Yeah.
but you
Probably will now.
yeah, you'd be like, hey, who's this shit calling me? Tell me I'm bending over. No, anyway, so I thought that's fine. But yeah, he's solid. He's got solid mechanics, man. When you see him shoot.
Oh, you should see him lately. He's unbelievable.
Everything.
People have called him out for just being an internet shot. Like, no, it's not. Like, he does shoot like that at 40 all the time.
Wow.
On demand.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's a good, if I can say something else positive about him, is that he knows his equipment and he knows what he likes his equipment to do. And he knows it well. Like, he sets his equipment up so perfectly, you know, for him, what he's doing. He just I mean, he use this, you know, I'm going to do a segue here in a second, because we're going to take you off coaching now, because we've decided that if someone needs coaching, well, first of all, let me say this again. I say this every podcast. The most important thing a new person into traditional archery can do is find a coach, find a mentor, and
I agree.
Internet's a good. Thank you very much, Tom.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure to be able to do that for a lot of folks. I'll tell you, I didn't have that, and I desired it the whole time. I would have sought me out if, or a guy like me, but I didn't know where to find any coaching. I didn't know where to find any coaching until my local club said, we need some certified instructors for insurance purposes. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. That's how I got into this. It was kind of an accident. So.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, so before we talk about how you got into coaching, and sort of, I want to get your origin story too, and even in traditional archery, but where can people get coaching from you? Like, what's the avenue?
So honestly, I get people flying in from all over the place, spend a day or
Okay.
two with me, is one avenue. The local guys, of course, schedule lessons all the time. I have a 5-hour online course called Solid Archery Mechanics. It's a one-time purchase, $200, and then there's an active Q&A. We're adding modules regularly. That's an avenue. Phone calls. I respond to a heck of a lot of phone calls in the store at RMS Gear. You know, hey, can I talk to Tom? Hey, Tom, seen what you've done. Can I ask you a question? Heck yeah, buddy. If I got no customer, I'll spend an hour on the phone. I did that today.
Don't everyone do that?
Right now, folks,
Fly
you
and
know.
go see you. I mean, honestly, I'm getting the itch right now to get out there to Colorado. So what would it? Where are you in? You're in
So I'm in
Colorado,
the Denver area. It's Wheat
okay.
Ridge, Colorado, which is northwest suburban Denver.
Northwest suburban. Okay, so if I were to say, like, that's what I'm trying to get to. Maybe you're helping me. So if I want to come out there, like, do I sign up for like a 2-day? Can I sign you? Can I book you for like two-hour classes or 1-hour classes, or how does it work?
Yeah, anything you want to do. You
Okay,
know,
cool.
like I would love to you with your background. That would be really fun for me.
So,
That would be really fun.
yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways, yeah, guys, you know, like I'll say like if you're not local, I want to have 3 hours with you anyway. Honestly, not a lot we can do in an hour
yeah.
unless we're just touching up stuff. Like if I've got you for 3 to 4 hours the first time I see you, and then I can get you for an hour, 2 to 4 more times, we're going to build a really good shot.
That's awesome.
Guys will commonly call and we'll do 1, 2, or 3 days together. I mean, if they really want to dive deep, that takes a lot of attention span. That'll wear you out. I'll hang in there for 3 days with somebody, but that's a lot. You
Yeah.
know, a day or
Um,
two is usually all
so
anybody can handle. It's
we
pretty
talked
intense.
about Aaron Schneider being one of
Yeah.
your a high profile guy that's come out to get some coaching from you. Who else might we know that you've coached? I know.
You know a guy named Tyler Friel? He writes for Outdoor Life.
Yes. Yeah.
You should see him shoot.
Really.
Now, yeah, well, he's got winter most of the year, but Ty is an incredible shooter.
Yeah.
He wanted to write an article about traditional archery and coaching for Outdoor Life, and he calls me up and he starts asking me questions, and he start like coming down here, and he sent me a video of his shot, right?
Yeah.
Video of his shot, and because he wanted some feedback on it, and I looked at him and I could tell he was a really good shooter,
Mm.
but I could tell he was a total shoulder pull because he'd come in here, he'd come past his anchor, he'd come forward, wiggle it into spot, he'd have a great settle, he'd have tension, boom, right? But then I'll lean back here. He was slamming into a wall back here off that push
Okay.
pull system.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so he calls me back. And, what do you think, Tom? It's funny to hear his side of the story because he thought he's a very humble guy,
Yeah.
but he knew he was pretty good, right? So he was expecting a couple tips and like, man, Tyler, you're a tough one, dude, because I can tell you're a really good shooter. Well, I'm all right. I go, well, let me ask you, you go to a local 3D shoot, I bet you nobody's within 30 points of you. Yeah, that's true.
Oh God.
So I bet you go to a statewide 3D shoot, I bet you walk away with it, like, well, yeah. It's kind
Yeah.
of asking them questions like that.
Yeah.
So I have a really big problem when something ain't broke. I kind of hate to try to fix it.
Yeah.
Is there a reason to try to change something? Like, yeah, the health of your shoulders. There is,
Okay.
like, what would you change? So I had this hour conversation with him about back tension and what that would look like,
Yeah.
and he was kind of blown away. He's like, okay, I'm going to talk to my editor. So Tyler called the editor and or talked to his editor, and they sent him down for 3 days. So he spent 3 days, stayed at the house with me. We struck up this great friendship. He's a tremendous young man, just salt of the earth, great guy, man.
Yeah.
Great writer too.
Yeah.
And we built his shot from scratch. And it was funny. He wanted to compete then. He'd never shot a bare bow, got a bare bow rig, went to Lancaster last year, was shooting scores in practice that would win it. Of course, that's always different from competition.
Sure.
But so he did the warm-up round, and they started the qualifying round, and he's into holding, and somebody bumps him off, and he shoots a 0
Oh no.
and lost his stuff. And then he started, we've analyzed this 10 ways of Sunday. Then he's like all about aiming. He's got to shoot freaking tens now, right?
No, it's too much.
And just lost it. Typical first tournament kind of stuff. Some bad luck with somebody bumping him off the line.
Yeah, that's
and stuff like that.
Unfortunate.
But I'd love to see Tyler get back in and compete again. But he's a heck of a shooter. He's got the Tundra Talk podcast, and I think his Instagram is the Tyler Freel, Freel, and follow that guy. Watch him shoot because he'll post a shot of the day and stuff. He's an NTS geek now. Understands it probably better than half the little four coaches out there. He's a completely geek guy, analyst all the way, and
That's
tremendous shooter. Yeah, if he had time to practice, he'd be scratching Aaron's ear about. He'd be coming right up on Aaron for sure.
This is
we did 3 days, and him and I and Aaron, a couple other of our buddies, went out and shot at the 3D range. He was throwing groups up like this at 55. But Tyler's got like a damn near 33-inch draw. He's a big old boy. He's got these long arms, broad chest. He's got long forearm. So with a long forearm, it takes his anchor up, and so he can shoot a string blur. So he can, man, when he gets a point on range, at these long ranges with that long draw, he's an unbelievable long range shooter.
I'm sure, we will check him out. I am having the hardest time as an interviewer getting to talk about Tom Clum.
I have a hard time talking about Tom Clum.
You're the most modest dude. I'm like, I want to talk about you. I'm like, no, you got to beat this guy. This guy's awesome. This is like, that's awesome though. That's trad. That's
trad. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool stuff.
All right, I'm going to ask direct questions then, because just to pull it back in. Okay,
all right.
You said you're hunting. What are you hunting with right now? What's your rig look like? What's your hunting rig look like? What do you got?
So, I've got 2 or 3 favorites. Right now, I'm shooting a bow called a Heartland bow by a guy named Corey Engert out of I think it's Alliance, Nebraska, a little town of 400. I met Corey through the shop because he comes out to Denver area to do some work, and I got to know him well. And I was like, if you're coming out, do not rent a hotel, come to my house, right? And we've got to know each other pretty well. But that's not why I shoot his bow. I was like, I wouldn't shoot his bow unless it was really good. And I told him that. I was like, man, I love your work, man. You build a bow that shoots with my Palmer, my 52-pound Palmer. You should give me a 50-pound bow and my 28.5-inch draw that'll shoot 100. A 550 grain arrow, about 170, I'm in. And that dude went through 5 iterations of limbs, and he came up with a sweet one on a belly-mounted riser, and it's a sweet rig. So I usually shoot 62-inch bows. This one's a 60, 50 pounds of my draw weight. Awesome rig. I like supporting him. I like shooting his bow because he's a up-and-coming bowyer, too. Yeah. So I like to see him get a little.
Are we going to talk about you, Tom? At any point in this conversation, do I get to listen to? Do I get to know about Tom? It's funny. It's funny. No,
that's great.
It is awesome. It is awesome. You're too modest. But what's his name again?
Corey Engert, Heartland Bows.
Heartland Bows, and he's that sort of that.
He makes both conventional, more of a Black Widow look.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm shooting now.
So 60 inches. Do you shoot stand or do you shoot off the ground? Are you in ground blind?
Well, I'm primarily an elk hunter, a week a year, or a little more than that, maybe 2 weeks. Some years I'm a whitetail hunter and I get in stands, but mostly I'm hunting off the ground.
Oh, okay. All right. I was gonna say 60 inch help you out a lot. So
I've been shooting 62-inch bows, and I've got a Palmer I absolutely love too. Satori's, I've got a 64-inch Satori that's 40 pounds of my target rig. I've got lots of bows, dude. I have lots of bows.
You own a shop. You should have.
I've been faithful to one woman for over 40 years. But when it comes to my bows, I'm a little promiscuous.
I feel the same way. And everyone says the exact same thing to me. It's like, Mick, you're good, but you're never going to be great if you keep shooting all these different bows.
I know.
I'm like, but I love it, right? I just got a new, a reflex deflex longbow from Keegan in Pennsylvania, and it's a beautiful bow. I love it, And
I've heard he's making a great bow. I've heard of him. I haven't had one in my hands, but yeah,
it's really good. I love it. It's competitive. It's competition legal too. So I want to get something that I could shoot ATA with, or I went to Tennessee to the World Championship, and they were doing longbow there, and I thought that'd be kind of cool, get into the longbow division with wood arrows and stuff. And I actually want to take some whitetail this year with a wooden bow. I'm just going to talk about myself because you don't want to talk about you, so I'm just going to keep going.
Jacking this all up for you, right?
So you got this set up, and that's 50 pounds. What kind of arrows are you shooting?
I shoot a Black Eagle Vintage with 200 up front. It runs up about 520 grains. On the light end for elk, but I've killed in the old days. Here's something about me. I shot wood arrows for 20 years.
Oh, really?
And killed a bunch of elk with a 500 grain wood arrow and a 125 grain bear razor-headed grizzly on the front. And I didn't pop out the other side like I do now, but killed them all.
Yeah.
I always got two lungs,
Yeah.
Once in a while, if I shot between the ribs, it'd go through. But,
Yeah.
with weight forward and the stuff we're shooting today is much better. But anyways, I know that'll do the job if I do my job.
So absolutely. I mean, that's your whole system, right? And so, hey, so you guys are, speaking of 200 grain broadheads. What broadheads are you shooting? Are you shooting your new ones that you got the
3-blade?
Yeah, 3-blade.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the regular 2-blade cutthroats.
Okay.
Probably because I'm a little on the lighter end for elk. And man, I'm telling you, I think there's something to that single bevel stuff. You put one through the lungs, you generally see them fall. It twists through tissue. There's no doubt about that. I don't know if it gurgles the lungs or what the heck's going on, but I get the feedback constantly from our customers, and we see it in our tight crew here. You shoot something through the lungs, you usually see them fall. So I think there's something to it, single bevel. And so, I like being a shorter guy, I like the chances of an exit wound better with a 2-blade. Blood trails, I've had good and bad blood trails with every kind of broadhead made. I counted one time, I think I've killed 8 big game animals with 18 different types of heads. In the old days, I used to experiment. I'd have 4 different heads in my quiver. I don't know. There's 3-blade fans. We didn't reinvent the wheel with our 3-blade. We reinforced the tip. We made it a design more like the old MA3 look, where we could put some beef in the tip, because one of the only detractions were those tips rolling over on a lot of 3-blades.
Yeah.
And so we've had those going out. We just finally put them out in the last 2 weeks, and Aaron's killed a bunch of stuff with them, and David Hoff. I mean, they're shooting through bones with them, and they're holding up. So we're really, I think my boys and Danny and Aaron kind of came up with that 3-blade design. The 2 of them designed that together, and then my boys did that cutthroat design, and they've knocked it out of the park with those designs. And then VPA and the steel they use and the hardening, it's just been an unbelievable success. Yeah,
they're super attractive. I mean, honestly, it's a good looking, it's good looking arrow.
It's a sexy head too, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's good looking. Yeah, it's really good looking. I almost pulled the trigger on it. I was like, but I'm like a 2-blade guy myself usually too. So, and like you, my buddy Cody Greenwood, who runs the Trad Lab, does a lot of testing, and that single bevel and just 2-blade. He doesn't stop talking about it over and over and over. So
I hadn't heard from him. I had to talk to Cody and see what his experience has been.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And in fact, I'm sure he would get some of those 3-blades on there too, just to test out, so that you got some comparison too. Anyway, so your latest hunt, we talked about it a little bit. You were going to go out and you're hunting whitetail in Wisconsin, but no luck, just because of the heat, right?
Yeah, we didn't. Usually you'll see a nice buck at least at distance. We didn't see a nice buck. It was incredible. Deer movement was absolutely shut down. Like I said, maybe it was before we were recording, the low temperature on our last day was 65 degrees. It was unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Actually, it was 68. It was 65 in the truck. When we got in the truck, garage was colder than the outside. As soon as we started driving, it was 68. So you're a whitetail hunter. You know what that does to them. It shuts everything down. It was like that the whole week, too. It was really nice sits in the tree stand. I read a couple books on my cell phone. It was really pleasant sits, man.
It's like, you know what though? It is nice to kind of be up in a tree stand. It's nice and warm and you're up.
It was,
I
yeah.
mean, it'd
Recharge
be
my
nice.
batteries.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see a buck, of course, because you get that heart racing, like, you know,
Yeah,
going
yeah.
nuts. So, yeah, I like that too. So you took a pig this year, but no elk, which is
No elk, man. Same thing. Blizzard conditions, swirling winds, crunchy snow. It's just unbelievable.
yeah, that's
I'm
okay.
going to give the old Bronco cry next year, baby.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any what's your schedule look like next year?
So next year we should draw a good tag that we know an area really well. So really encouraged about our elk hunt. I've got an invite to go to Montana
Nice.
for a sponsored type hunt, which I'm excited about. The New Zealand, Australia trips probably pushed off another year because of COVID, so I'm probably not going to get to do that.
No, we're gonna get this vaccine. We'll be fine.
I'm hoping so, buddy, because
Yeah.
that's March. But
Fingers crossed.
um,
And has your business been impacted?
actually, yeah, it was for a bit. We were closed for 6 weeks, and I was scared to death.
Yeah.
Man, I just want to keep my crew together. I hoped I'm sold enough to make a payroll. The landlord could wait, everybody could wait, but I want to keep my crew together. That's my most, that's the valuable asset of Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear, is the knowledge and people we have with us, right? And I've got to tell you, people in the trad community are unbelievable.
Yeah.
They knew what was going on. We'd get calls, and it's like, hey, Tom or Alex or Trace, send me a dozen arrows. Make it 2 dozen.
No, nice.
I was thinking about buying this tire. I'm just going to get it now. Meet you at the door, mail it off, right?
Yeah.
And I think I need a $300 gift card. They weren't giving it free. They were just helping us out, man.
That's
And there was so much of that you can't believe. We made payroll and rent that month, and then our grip trigger came out. We had a bunch of sales. The timing couldn't have been better. We were really blessed. And then I think that we benefited from the outdoor, every business to do with the outdoors picked up, and we've been trying to get more information, a little more presence with social media, and do a little better job of getting information. I think that helped. So we've been up overall compared to last year, even with
good.
being closed for 6 weeks. So we're feeling really blessed, really fortunate. Yeah, we're doing
That's
well.
great. That's great. You need to go fund me though for the New Zealand trip though, definitely.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, that's gonna kill you financially. Like, I mean, that's.
Well, listen to this. I'm getting a chance. A friend over there. I'm doing Joel Turner and I are doing a clinic in New Zealand and in Australia. They're going to pretty much pay for the trip.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, it's just unbelievable opportunity.
So do you know where you're going in New Zealand? What?
South Island, and I don't remember the name.
Christchurch or something like that in the South Island. Christchurch. Anyway,
Yeah, I think that's somewhere close to where we're going to be. Yeah,
I mean, that's the big town there, Christchurch, and then you'll get to go see all the Lord of the Rings stuff. Hopefully, they take you around to that.
I hope I get to do some sightseeing too. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful over there. So beautiful. I got a chance to go over to New Zealand when I worked. This is years and years ago. I went over to Australia, then got to go to New Zealand. So, where are you heading to in Australia?
So this fellow that's setting all this up, his name is Ben Mayer.
Okay.
And just a tremendous guy. Yeah. And Ben lives in the southern part of the country.
Yep. Do you remember like Melbourne or?
Melbourne, yeah, in the area of Melbourne. Yeah. And so we'll get to hunt all kinds of different stuff in Australia too.
That's cool. You do.
Yeah.
So I had a guy on from Australia, the nocturnal hunter, nocturnal archer, sorry, and he was telling me they have 6 or 7 different types of deer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, and they're all like invasive species, so it's like, go shoot them.
Yeah, just go kill them.
Just
go shoot deer. Okay. Well, we'll do. They're not. No.
Feral hogs and turkeys. I guess Merriam's turkeys are everywhere.
That's so weird. But you better bring some gators with you because I would hate for you to get bit by a snake.
Yeah. I guess there's all kinds of creepy stuff there.
Yeah, that's what I said to him. He said, "Oh, it's not that bad." I'm like, you get like the most deadly snakes in the world are right there.
Yeah.
So that's all right. So one piece of advice that you would give a beginner, like we already kind of touched on it, but let's hit it again. Mm-hmm. What's that one piece of advice you would give a beginner archer?
Well, it'd be along your lines. You got to have a mentor, man. You can't. This is for trad. if you have a mentor, or you have somebody else that you're starting with, that's what I had. If nothing else, I had a buddy that wanted to do this with me, and we wanted to be bow hunters.
Yeah.
And his family, thank goodness for me, was a backpacking family. We threw backpacks on and hit the hills, man. And we'd stay out there for a week, week and a half, 10 days, and just had a ball. The first year we went elk hunting, we probably spent 20 days off our backpacks, did not see an elk. But there wasn't the internet, there wasn't information out. And then we started like getting some books from the library and finding out habitat and summer range, winter range, daily habits, and then the next year we scared a bunch of elk. But that's kind of how it was. That's kind of how it was in the older days. There just wasn't great information. We'd read Outdoor Life, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was a different time because there was more mystery to everything.
Yeah.
Like, where are these elk? I mean, they're flying everywhere. You're in some bottom somewhere, like now I'll tell a guy, dude, they're there all night. Look up on the north facing side and find some benches way up high close to the top. That's where they are right now. But I didn't have that mentorship. So everything was a mystery, but it was kind of cooler that way.
Yeah.
There wasn't a formula. You just went and found out. And you made your mistakes.
So yeah, and sometimes that's, well, almost always that's better because there's so many internet archers that it's just like you get bad advice too. There's bad advice out there as well.
The internet is a minefield of good and bad advice. And how do you sort through all that, man?
You talk to Tom Clum. That's who you talk to. That's the dude that you want to talk to for sure. Yeah. All right. Hey, well, it's been really great talking to you. I loved it. I think we've got some great advice for some new archers that are coming into it, even for some experienced guys.
They can call the shop here. I mean, we'll walk you through a startup. We've got stuff to get guys started on the right track.
That's
nothing
exactly
else.
What I'm going to get to. Yeah. So tell us where they can get hold of you to get to. So it's RMS Gear.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear, or RMS Gear. And our website is rmsgear.com.
Okay.
The phone number's on it. Give us a call. We've got more experience in traditional archery you can shake a stick at in our store. I'm proud that this crew that I have has so many years of knowledge, and more proud that these are the type of people that like to help other people. They truly, genuinely like to share the thing that we love, because we know what we're giving them, so to speak. You know what I mean? We're all lifelong participants in this as part of our lifestyle. So we know what it's meant to us, and we like to share that. So, yeah, I mean, if nothing else, give us a call at the shop. Talk to Tracy, talk to Alex, talk to me, talk to Jerry. There's lots of great help there.
You get to meet the stars of Intimate Weapon as well.
Yeah.
Hey, do you got 2 seconds? I know I
got all the time you want, buddy.
Okay. So let's just really quickly, let's talk about Intimate Weapon. And
okay,
for those of my viewers that, have not seen that, I mean, watch it, but have a box of Kleenex with you, I would say, because it really brings you to tears. And it's just meant so much to me to watch that. And as a content creator, I've experienced some of those things that you guys, the person who did the film, I experienced that. And, I want to be able to do something like that myself, that it's beyond me, but it's one of those things that aspiration is like, as a content creator, I'd love to get that level of detail, that level of emotion anyway, I'm building this up. Go watch it. You can see it online, YouTube, Intimate Weapon. But Tom, tell us a little bit, take us through that. How did that start, and how did that all come about?
Okay. Well, we had this customer at the time, turned into a really good friend named Keith Brown Eyes. And Keith's a filmmaker, and he got into trad. And of course I taught him shoot, and, through our experiences at the shop, and just kind of a regular that we got to know really at least on a good acquaintance level, if not a friendship level. And anyway, approached my sons and I. He said that he wanted to make a film about traditional archery, and he'd like to follow us around some of our hunts. Well, we kind of huddled about that, and we were pretty reluctant, especially showing some of our hunting areas to somebody else that might, do that, get them out there and that. Yeah. And anyway, we talked to the guy and kind of felt his ethic, see what he was all about, really was trying to accomplish. So we said, yeah, you can do that. And so he followed us around on several hunts over about a 3-year period. We went on turkey hunts. We went on Texas hog hunts. He followed us around elk hunting. My wife and I drew cow moose tags. He came with us on that. And there was a couple others besides that, some deer hunts. And so I don't know, he probably had 100 hours of film of these different hunting experiences that we've had when he was hanging around with us. And then, anyways, he called, said he'd made a film. He wanted to put it on a film tour, so it had to be short. He made this 15-minute film. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, I'm screening it on Sunday night. Get your family together. And we did this screening of this 15-minute film, right, that it's now on YouTube.
Yep.
Because he was looking for sponsorship and didn't get that rounded up, so he just put it out there themselves. So I'd like to get the count on that film up so that hopefully he can monetize it or get his expenses back someday. But anyways, we watched that film, and like you said, it wasn't a hunting film. It was a heart film.
Yeah.
And it had, my family was heavily involved in that film, and Buddy Gould, a Boyer, Poison Dart Bows, and a guy named Dave Massa, taxidermist. And so it was just these little looks into the lives of people that are immersed in what your and I lifestyle, and so many people listening is lifestyles, right? Yeah. And it had a lot about my family. And then, like you said, yeah, a couple times I was like seeing my grandson and my son.
I know.
I was like, oh boy, well, I must have some allergies today, right? Yeah, and my wife. It started with my wife and ended with my wife, and showed what kind of a matriarch she is with her family, and how involved she's been with the traditional archery lifestyle and hunting and raising these kids up in that lifestyle. So
yeah, really, your wife is the star. Your wife is the star of your family.
Absolutely, as it should have been.
Yeah,
and so it wasn't your normal hunting film. But I think most everybody would find it very heartfelt and very interesting.
But I appreciated it because it showed traditional archery, and your wife had a lot of good comments about, taking animals and stuff like that. I just thought it was, because sometimes we get challenged on these things, right? And,
the food aspect, and her at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly.
And it showed my stud daughter-in-law, man, like you'd see the intensity in her eyes making that shot, like she's in there like, bam, right? That was cool watching her shoot, right?
Very cool. It was really cool. The whole thing is really cool. It's really great. Yeah, it's not a traditional hunting where you shot something, we saw the arrow go into the animal, then you go skin it. It was everything. It was the entire lifestyle of a trout.
When my wife got her moose, it was fairly close to where my father-in-law's house was, and it got right next to, really close to a road. So we were able to jet and get my grandkids and drive them back up and have them there to dismantle this moose. And so you get to see that interaction, and these kids get to see where their food comes from. And we talked about that kind of stuff too. It was pretty cool. And my son, like tracing my grandson's hand and teaching him how to skin the elk and stuff, or the moose. It was really cool. That's kind of stuff for me as a granddad. Is like, oh man, it choked me up a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to try and make me cry on this podcast.
I
loved it. I loved it to death. I want everyone to go watch it. It's 15 minutes.
Just search the Intimate Weapon on YouTube.
Okay, and then if people want to follow you or message you directly, what social medias are you on?
So I just do Instagram, Tom_Clum_ Sr, SR, TOMCLUM with a senior, because I have a son named Tom, and so I used to be called my old friends still call me Tommy, but he's still Tommy.
Okay.
And so now Tom Sr. or Tom Senior kind of got to be my nickname to differentiate when guys call the shop you, right? So.
Yeah, I absolutely know you as Tom Sr. Everyone.
Yeah,
Tom Sr. Tom Sr.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, Tom. Again, thanks again very much.
My pleasure, Nick.
Fantastic talking to you. I love it. Everyone else, don't forget to share, subscribe to the podcast, whatever those social media things you do, and then take care and be safe, everyone. Talk to you later.
Wait. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so after I cut recording, Tom and I went on for what could be a second podcast. I had an amazing time talking to Tom, and he's so full of information. But this is a sentiment that he wanted to get across to everyone, and so did I, about traditional archery. So listen to this next little bit.
What do we want to say?
So Mick and I were talking, outside of the podcast. And one thing that we want to communicate what traditional archery means to us is that sometimes this traditional archery stuff that we absolutely enjoy is just an excuse to develop these deep, meaningful relationships with these other great people in our life that bless us and them in so many ways that are immeasurable. And it's all because we want to grip a bow and rip some arrows, right?
Yeah.
But really, this community we're in and these relationships we make are what life's really all about. It's not about shooting a dang arrow. Ultimately, we kind of use that excuse for way better things.
That's
And
right.
that's what I kind of wanted to convey too.
Yeah, no, and that's a good sentiment. I really appreciate that, Tom. Thank you.
All of my best friends I met when they walked in my shop one day.
Ah,
And everybody that works with me walked in my shop one day, you know, and everybody I hang out with, my peers, the people I go hunting with, were people that walked in my shop one day. And maybe I should taught to shoot, but then this friendship budded,
mhm.
and then way more meaningful things happen in our life, and we share the highs and low points of life. It's Trish archery is way more than shooting a bow. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle, and it's a beautiful one too.